guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today we are doing another recent reads and I'm really excited because I have 10 books that I want to share with you guys and I actually enjoyed a majority of them. So this wouldn't be a recent reads if I didn't have a DNF. So I do have one of those. I do have a 1-2 star read, and then everything else is 3 stars and above. I even have 2 5-star reads. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So the first book we're gonna start with is my 1 DNF, and that is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This is a young adult dystopian book. This is actually a book that is featured on my backlist TBR, so it is one of the books that I wanted to read before the end of the year, and I really tried hard to get through this one. So in this, we are following these girls who go to an all-girls school on this island, and apparently the world has been hit with the tox, including these girls, and the tox is this sort of virus that affects everybody differently. And at certain points, there are also flare-ups that can cause other things to go wrong with you. And so these girls are dealing with that. People have been dying, their teachers have been dying, and basically they are just trying to survive. They do fortunately get supplies from the Navy, I think, and that is how they are able to stay alive throughout this time, and they have no idea what is going on the mainland. Outside of dealing with the tox, we're following our main character, Hetty, and she is best friends with this girl named Byatt, and Byatt goes missing, and now Hetty is trying to figure out what to do. I tried really hard to get through this one, but something about it I was just not connecting with. If you guys have been here for a while, then you probably know that I just really enjoy any story that has to do with like a virus. That is a buzzword for me. And so I went into this one thinking that I was going to enjoy it, and I just was really bored. Outside of just learning about the tox, nothing else about this really captured my attention. I wasn't really invested in any of the characters. I didn't feel one way or another when this girl goes missing. And so I did listen to this one on audio. I got 104 pages in before I decided to go ahead and DNF this one, which is really unfortunate because anytime I'm listening to something on audio, most of the times I can kind of force myself to continue further than I would if I was reading it physically. But this one, like I said, something about it I just was not connecting with, so I unfortunately had to put this one down. So moving on to my 2-star read. Please don't be mad at me because this book is like a booktube darling. It came out a couple of years ago. When it came out, everybody fell in love with this book. And so I'm picking it up years later and I just did not feel the same way everybody else felt. The book I'm referring to is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is a adult romance. This is the first book in a trilogy. Each of the books we are following a different sister, and in this one we are following Chloe. So this one follows Chloe, and in this one, at the beginning of the story, she has like this near-death experience. And so after that, she's basically trying to get a life. She comes up with this list of things that she wants to try, things that are outside of her comfort zone, so that she could live a little bit more spontaneously. So she ends up getting close to the handyman that is in her apartment. His name is Redford, but he goes by Red. And so they start getting close. He decides that he wants to help her with this list. And then as we know it, a romance ensues. For some reason, I just did not connect with these characters. Now we get a lot of background about Chloe, and she has a chronic illness, fibromyalgia, which I actually like learning about, and basically she is in constant pain, and because of that she has lost her fiance. She doesn't have a lot of friends. Basically, she's like craving that friendship, craving that companionship. And then we have Red, who was in a very toxic relationship. And so he is trying to open himself back up. I actually really enjoyed that. Outside of that, I didn't really like anything else about it. I kind of think their relationship moved really fast. It definitely felt a little insta-lovey. There was a lot of lust in the beginning, and then I think they hung out like once or twice, and then already one of them was just like so in love and head over heels. I also thought the dialogue during the sex scenes was a little bit cringe, so I couldn't get over that. And then also, this is another one that I listened to on audio. Our main character, Chloe, is supposed to be like in her early 30s. The person that was narrating Chloe sounded like an old woman, and it bothered me to the point that I had to actually look up to see who was narrating this book. And the person that actually narrates this is the woman that plays Lady Danbury on Bridgerton, and I actually like that character, but it was just really distracting because she was just too old when I know that Chloe is only supposed to be in her early 30s. Like, her voice is very mature, and to me that kind of hindered the reading experience because it just didn't match this character of Chloe that I was trying to envision. And so that kind of brought down my reading experience as well. So I'm not sure if I am going to continue on in the series. If I do happen to continue on reading the other two books, I will most definitely read those physically. But as of right now, I think I'm gonna stop here. And unfortunately, again, this got 2 stars. So moving on to my 3-star reads, the first one being With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. This is a adult mystery thriller. Actually, it is a historical adult mystery thriller because it takes place in 1942. So in this one, we are following our main character, Anna, and she has anonymously invited these, I think it's like 6 or 7 people onto this train ride to Chicago, a non-stop ride to Chicago. We learn that she did this because she is trying to get vengeance against these people who she believes are the cause for the downfall of her family. So we are following these group of people as they are traveling on this nonstop ride to Chicago. And of course, people start to die one by one. Secrets are revealed and the story just kind of takes off from there. Now, before I went into this one, I had lowered my expectations drastically because I started to hear really mixed to negative reviews about this one. And so after Riley Sager's book last year, Middle of the Night, which I absolutely did not enjoy, I did not have high hopes for this one, but I was actually a little bit pleasantly surprised. I mean, it's only getting a 3-star rating, but 3 stars is not bad. So everyone is comparing this to Murder on the Orient Express. I have not seen that. I have not read that, so I cannot tell you whether or not that is an accurate description of this book. I believe it is. But this one, I enjoyed it because I like the setting on the train. I actually like that it takes place in 1942 and everything that it references from 1942. I did kind of like the characters, and I actually liked that Riley Sager did not wait until the end to reveal all of these like secrets that these characters had. I like that it was a gradual reveal throughout the story. However, I don't think anything was necessarily that surprising. Had I been surprised by some of the stuff that was being revealed, I think I would have rated this higher. Now, did I guess a lot of the stuff? Not necessarily, but I just wasn't shocked by anything that was revealed through the story. But overall, I just kind of enjoyed myself. I have seen people say that this is probably a book to read more in like the fall/winter time, and I would have to agree just because it is taking place in 1942, but it's also during like this snowstorm that's happening. So if you like those snowy vibes, then I would definitely hold off until the winter time. But outside of that, I had a really good time with this one. This was a pleasant surprise from Riley Sager. My next 3-star read is a ARC that I actually received from NetGalley, and that is A Happy Marriage by A.R. Torrey. This is a adult mystery thriller, and this is a book that has already been released. And this is actually my first book by this author. They have came out with several books at this point, and I've heard nothing but good things, so I wanted to check this one out. So in this one, we're following our main character, Dinah. She is a homicide detective, and she is currently working on this case where this older woman was found dead in her home. And while the police are investigating that, they realize that she has a young adult daughter who is also missing. Throughout the story, this particular case ties in with her husband Joe, who is a psychiatrist. And I am just going to leave it at that. I don't want to say anything more than that because I don't want to accidentally spoil anything, because I think the less you know, the better your reading experience will be for this book. I liked all of the twists that we got. In no way did I guess where this story was ultimately going. The reason why I rated this one 3 stars is because I just felt nothing for our main characters, Dinah and her husband, Joe. And I wish I did, because I feel like the things that were revealed would have hit a little bit harder. I also felt like I had so many questions by the end of this book, and I feel like this book could have been a little bit longer to flesh a few things out. There was like this one character that was introduced in the beginning that we never saw again after a certain point. I just have so many questions in regards to how we got to certain points in the story, and I just wish that the author would have spent a little bit more time fleshing some of that stuff out. Outside of that, I had a good time, and I really would recommend this book because it is very twisty. Like I said, I could not have told you that this was where the story was gonna go, and I enjoyed that. I just wish I didn't have so many questions after finishing the book. So the next 2 books that I have, I actually did a dedicated review for them. They are both adult mystery thrillers. The first one being Such Quiet Girls by Noelle Eiley, and then This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. Both of these books are based off of real life true crime stories. And so in that video, I actually go into a little bit of detail about those cases, as well as giving you guys a review over the books. Right now, I'm just gonna give you guys a brief synopsis, and I'm going to direct you over to that video if you want my full thoughts. So in regards to Such Quiet Girls, in this one, we're following this new bus driver, Jessa, and she is taking these 10 kids to their after school program. On the way there, she is stopped by these masked men in this van, and she and the kids are put into this van and driven to an unknown location. Once they get to this unknown location, they are then asked to go and climb down into this hole, and these kidnappers tell them that they will not be released until ransom has been paid. And then for This Book Will Bury Me, we are following this girl, Jane. She has recently lost her father. He passed away from a heart attack, I believe. And so she is trying to figure out how to deal with her grief. Her trying to figure that out leads her to like these true crime forums. And she is introduced to these 4 other people who are deep into like true crime sleuthing. And so they end up inviting her to a private chat. Right when they are getting to know each other, this huge case hits the airwaves. And so these 3 girls are found murdered in their off-campus housing in Idaho. So Jane and these 4 true crime sleuths decide that they are going to try and solve this case, and the story just kind of like takes off from there. For both of these books, I will leave the link to that video down below in case you guys want my full thoughts, but I would definitely go ahead and check out that video. So moving on to my 4-star reads, the first one being Night Watcher by Daphne Wollstonecraft. This is a adult mystery thriller. I actually listened to this one on audio that I got from Libro FM. And so this one, we're following our main character, Nola, and she is a late night radio host. And the show that she is the host for, people basically call in and talk about their scary encounters that they've had. One night while she's working, her and her producer get this really frantic call from this lady who is saying that she is currently being watched. And that kind of unsettles Nola, as it would for anybody. And later on, we find out that that lady has actually been murdered. And that's significant to Nola because Nola has been feeling like she has been watched lately. Strange things have been starting to happen around her house. And we slowly get these flashback chapters where Nola had this situation that happened with her babysitter who was murdered by somebody that the police and the media has deemed the hiding man. And now, 20 years later, Nola believes this hiding man is back. And so the story just kind of like takes off from there. I thought this book was very creepy. I think anything that has to do with like being watched or being stalked is very creepy. I also thought the author did a really good job with like describing the hiding man, because like he had this mask and just like how ominous he feels. I thought it was just so creepy. I also really enjoyed the flashback chapters to what happened to Nola back then and how it relates to kind of what she's going through and feeling right now. The only thing that stopped me from rating this one 5 stars is that I was able to guess early on what was going on, but that in no way stopped me from enjoying the ride to that revelation. This is definitely a book that I would suggest you guys read during the fall time because of that creepy, unsettling feeling that you get, but I really enjoyed this one. My next 4-star read is Last One Out by Steph Nelson. This is a adult thriller. This is another one that I was able to listen to through Libro FM. So in this one, we start off 25 years in the past and we're following this girl, Chloe. And one night, Chloe and 2 of her friends go up to this hot springs late at night. Both of Chloe's friends were murdered, and then Chloe goes missing. So then we fast forward 25 years and we are following Chloe's cousin, Frankie. And back then, Chloe and Frankie were extremely close. And Frankie, all these years later, is still not dealing well with Chloe's disappearance. And she actually believes that Chloe is still alive. So every year, Frankie has this memorial. And this particular year, Chloe shows up. And the story takes off from there. So I like this one because I really enjoyed the past and present timeline. So in the present, we are following Frankie and how she's dealing with the reappearance of Chloe. And then in the past, we are following what actually happened to Chloe when she disappeared. And I liked how all of that just kind of like came together. This is another one where I kind of sort of was able to figure out what was going on, but it was like one of those situations where I didn't want that to be true, and it was true, and it totally shocked me. And I really just had a good time kind of like putting the pieces all together. I think the last third of this was extremely fast paced. There was quite a bit of action, which I also was not expecting. And I will say, if this is a book that you are interested in or have your eye on, I would definitely check out the trigger warnings. I don't really want to say them because I don't want to spoil anything. But if, like I said, if this is a book that you are wanting to check out, make sure you check out those trigger warnings. I can't remember if they listed that in the beginning of the book. They might have. But yeah, I would definitely check this one out. So my last 4-star read is one that I recently finished. It is another one that I listened to from Libro FM, and it is Everyone is Lying to You by Joe Piazza. This is another adult mystery thriller. So we're following 2 characters in this one. The first one that we're following is Lizzie. Lizzie is a writer for Modern Woman magazine. And one day while she's scrolling through Instagram, she is contacted by her estranged friend, Bex. And Bex is now this really huge influencer, specifically a trad wife influencer. Her and her family live on this ranch. She has 6 kids. And basically to her followers, she is basically giving them what is her vision of like a perfect life on this ranch. And so, like I mentioned, Lizzie and Bex are estranged. And so Lizzie is taken aback when Bex all of a sudden reaches out to her. There is a reason that you find out later on why they're estranged. So Bex basically reaches out to Lizzie and lets her know that she wants Lizzie to write this story about this new deal that Bex has been working on. And she invites Lizzie somewhere on the West Coast. I forget where they are, but somewhere on the West Coast to this big conference called Mom Bomb, where all of these other influencers are attending. So Lizzie goes out there, she meets with Bex, and the next day during the conference, the police come and say that Bex is missing and her husband is dead, and people are looking at Lizzie because she is the last one to have been seen with Bex. I, of course, enjoyed this one. My favorite thing about this book was just the commentary on the influencer lifestyle and how addictive social media can be, how people will basically do anything for those likes, for those comments, and how people who are influencers, especially really big influencers, how basically they're only showing you what they want you to see when so much goes into what it is they're wanting you to see. And so I liked getting the behind the scenes on that. And I also just liked where the mystery went. There's a lot of secrets, there's a lot of lies. There are multiple characters that are introduced. Some of the stuff that is revealed in this story is quite repulsive, but nonetheless, I had a great time, and this is another one that I would definitely recommend, especially if you are really interested in like that influencer lifestyle, specifically trad wife influencing. So this was another good one. Now we are going to talk about my last two books. So I said that I had two 5-star reads. The first one is Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. This is the second book in the Hunger Games series. I mentioned this before when I talked about Hunger Games a little while ago. I am rereading this series so that I can read the new release that came out this year. And I'm not really in a rush. I've kind of just been picking these up when I have the time to, and so it was time to pick up Catching Fire. I'm not going to go into a lot of details because at this point, these books have been out forever. We all know what the Hunger Games is. I'm pretty sure a majority of you guys know what Catching Fire is, whether you've read the books or just watched the movies. But ultimately, our victors are being put back into the Hunger Games. I absolutely love this, and it has just been a really fun time rereading these because even though I really enjoyed them the first time, I feel like I have just been really enjoying them on my second read through because I have been picking up on so much stuff that I just did not pick up on the first time around. So I have really been enjoying my reread. Again, I gave this one 5 stars, just like I did the first time I read it. So the last book that I want to talk about in my last 5-star read, this is a book that I don't think I probably would have ever stumbled across because I had never heard of it when I had to read it. So I am a part of a book club for Black women, and it's Black women who read Black romance. So the person that is picking the books picked this one. And the book that she picked is Demon's Dream by Elle Kaysen. Apparently, this is very popular. I had not heard of this book. So I went into it not really expecting a whole lot, but I ate this book up. This book is 750 pages. When I found out it was 750 pages, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to read this before the book club meeting. I actually devoured this book in 3 days. So this is a adult fiction with a little bit of toxic romance thrown in. So we are following basically 2 different couples. So first we have Dream and Dream's brother. Okay, before I even get into the characters, this is following characters who basically do bad things. They're murderers, they're like drug dealers, they like sell illegal guns. Everybody in here is not good. So the first person that we're following is Dream. And Dream's brother, he ends up marrying this girl behind their family's backs. And the girl's father is very upset because he had planned for her to marry somebody else. And so now he kind of wants like his payback for him marrying his daughter. So basically Dream and her father try to go talk to this other father about what her brother did. And the guy was like, you know what? Since he went ahead and married my daughter, I'm going to give you Dream to my brother Demon. And so basically Demon is supposed to be able to have his way with Dream for I think it was like the next 30 days. So that's the first couple and the main couple that we're following. We also follow Dream's sister, Diana, and she is supposed to be marrying this guy that their father had arranged for her. One day, Diana comes home and finds out that her quote-unquote fiance is cheating on her. And so she does not want to go through with this wedding, but her father is pressuring her because he thinks that this relationship is going to be good for business. But then Diana ends up meeting this also not so great person who is the owner of several bars. His name is Smoke. So Smoke and Diana are kind of seeing each other on the side. So we have Dream and Demon and Diana and Smoke. So like I said, Dream and Demon are kind of like the main couple that we're following. And we learned a lot about Demon, how he got his name Demon. And there are quite a few flashback chapters into how he was raised. And he did not have the best childhood, which contributes to how he is right now. This was so freaking entertaining. I cannot, like, I randomly think about certain scenes from this book even now. And I read this a little while ago. None of these people should be together. Like I said, none of these people are good, but I was eating these relationships up. Now, I actually liked Demon and Dream more. That is who I wanted to see more of. At a certain point, Diana and Smoke, they get a lot of page time. And it was fine, but they were not the couple that I wanted to see. So parts of me is like, I wish we didn't get as much of them as we did. And I also felt like the book was a little long. Towards the end, I felt like I was starting to feel those 750 pages, and I don't think it needed to be as long as it was. I also wish that there was this situation that was going on with Demon where this man was kind of after him for revenge, and I felt like that storyline was wrapped up really quickly at the end because we were spending so much time with Diana and Smoke. And I wish that his situation, Demon's situation, would have gotten a few more pages and we could have seen a little bit more happen with that. But outside of that, I loved this book. I want to pick up something else from this author. I'm so curious to know if anybody else has read this book because I had never heard of it. I did not know it was really popular. It has excellent reviews on Goodreads. This was new to me, and this is why I'm so happy I'm a part of that book club, because I'm being introduced to romance books by authors I've never heard of and romance books that I probably would not have picked up otherwise. And this one, Demon's Dream, was a win for me. So that is all that I have for you guys. I will leave my true crime video link down below in case you guys are interested. Please let me know if you have read any of these and what are your thoughts. But I will see you guys next time. Bye.